you, Chairman. We've got apologies from Joe Wilson from Stanley Community Centre, from Olga Milburn, County Council of the Stanley Division, from Patricia Coburn, who didn't say where she's from Maria Farrell from Stanley School, and from Belinda Snow from Durham County Council Board of Service. Any other apologies that anyone wants to?
The activity then?
The activity then?
Yes.
Right, we move on to item 3 on tonight's agenda, which is the minutes of the last meeting.
Yeah, the minutes of the last meeting was on the 17th of April 2018. Most of you weren't at the meeting. There were some copies of the minutes scattered around the room. Can anyone who was present at the meeting have a look at those confirmed entry record? Is that Joe with his hand up over there? Oh,
Next on the agenda is a welcome from our leader of the Stanley Town Council, Councillor David Marshall.
Good evening. As leaders of Stanley Town Council, could I welcome you all here? Pleased to see so many here. A lot of community groups here, which is most pleasing. As the Deputy Mayor says, unfortunately, Mayor Alex Clegg can't be present. It's a difficult time for Alex due to health problems. As a senior statesman and former chair of the council, he has done a sterling job as the public face of Stanley Town Council. On behalf of the council, I would like to record our appreciation for the work he has undertaken. Our aim is to offer a better deal for the people of Stanley. It's been a challenge to bring the council to its firm financial footing. The council now has a medium-term plan in place to establish successful and financially stable council. This has involved introducing a fully costed staffing structure with evaluated job descriptions. All staff and trade unions have been fully involved with that process. The council have introduced a living wage policy for all staff and signed the Dying in Work pledge, and we ensure all staff involved in council development, their views matter to us. The environmental caretakers are back in-house. They are doing a great job tackling local environment projects and are working hard to improve the area. We have employed Stanley's own neighbourhood police wardens, complementing the service already provided by the police of Durham County. A full programme of community activities being provided by the council. Play in the park, fun for all the family. Ever popular firework display, attended by over 6,000 people. Armed Forces Day, World War I commemoration, in bloom, Christmas lights, carol services. So there's a lot going on in the last 12 months. The council has given support to local organisations, including the investment in youth and children, the funding of local projects. The council has taken a brave step. We are for the first time developing a long-term plan of grant funding, which will allow funding of core costs for organisations such as cricket clubs, football clubs, village halls, in a straightforward, non-bureaucratic way. You won't need a degree to fill in a form to get funding. It will be simple and straightforward. You won't need to employ a specialist to do that, which so often happens with grant funding. So the council is committed to ensure that funding is available year on year for voluntary organisations who contribute so much to the success of Stanley. To achieve this, a Stanley Fund has been set up, with several people providing money for the project, including the RP, Kevin Jones, Police and Crime Commissioner Ron Hogg, Durham County's Local Strategic Partnership and this council. How groups will get the money? You're waiting for that, aren't you? We'll find out later on. That'll follow later on. Yeah. We intend to continue to help those in our community who are caught in austerity financial difficulties by funding advice services, Packed House, Just for Women, Shade, bring together all identified providers in our area to avoid duplication and misuse of money. The Council has a Civic Hall task group undertaking a review of the past year's activity and looking, along with the Civic Hall staff, at a future programme of events in the Alan Armstrong Theatre. We're bringing a cinema back to Stanley. It's almost ready to go. We're agreeing a programme for it. A programme of live shows has been developed. 3 local organisations have all benefited from having annual shows in the theatre this year. Stanley Stars, Oxhill Youth Club and Southmore Theatrical Society. The Council continues to look after our heritage. Miners' memorials with remembrance services organised and support given to the miners' banner groups. World War I commemoration beacon provided on the front street, which can be used for all celebrations in the council area at any time. Support has been given to all war memorial services in the area. We have introduced a financial reporting that enables councillors and public to have a clear picture of where the money is going, providing early indications of under or over budget spending, so corrective action can be taken when necessary. We are committed to becoming a quality status council in 2 years. And then, of course, for us, it's back to the review of the medium-term plan. So welcome. And as I said, people will be following me on to tell you how the grant scheme is going to work. Thank you now.
Right, I won't keep you very long because I know that you're waiting for the main event. And in line with what Councillor Marshall just said, I'm going to just briefly speak about our expenses in a very clear and brief way rather than lots of detail. The slide that I put up there, I apologise if it's a bit too small for you to read, but I'll try and talk you through it. Basically, this is just a breakdown of the Town Council's total budget and a brief overview of what we spend the money on. So the total expenditure for this current financial year that we're in, as you can see from the top number, if you can see it, is just over £1 million, £1,150,000 and 978, of which 706,000 of that is raised through contributions to local taxation, council tax in your precept. The remaining income comes from a mixture of income from the Civic Hall and from grant, local council tax support grant that comes from Durham County Council to replace the old housing benefit element of council tax. So the pieces of the pie that you can see on there, that shows you the proportion of our expenditure that goes into different areas. So we spend, the big grey bit at the bottom left is what we spend on operational services, so that's things like our environmental wardens, our environmental caretakers, the neighbourhood wardens, the provision of services like the advice service, things like that. We spend 11%, 42% of our budget goes on those direct services. We spend 11% of our budget on grant funding, that's in the current financial year. We spend 8% on the Civic Hall. We spend 15% on this snappy area called democracy, stroke publicity, stroke assets, stroke external services, which is just me lumping together some small budgets because there'd be tiny little pieces of pie otherwise. And we spend 3% of our annual precept servicing loans, which we've taken. And the remaining 21% is on administration, which is the physical administration of the council services and the financial administration of the council services. So that's where the money that's where the money very broadly goes. There are some sheets on sort of alternate chairs which give a more detailed breakdown, and we will publish a more detailed breakdown online with an annual report. But actually, I was told that no one wanted to hear me talk about numbers in minutiae this evening. So if you've got questions at the end, you can ask them in the open forum specific about the budgets. We will publish more detailed figures on the internet in due course. And with that out of the way, I would like to introduce you to Michelle Cooper from the County Durham Community Foundation, who is going to talk about the Stanley Community Fund.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah? Great. Tech failed me, i.e. an old printer, so I'm going to try and do the few notes that I have off the phone here, so I really apologise if this goes wrong. I think my briefing was also quite light, wasn't it, in terms of what I was doing today. So hopefully I have everything covered, because I think this has been built up quite a lot. But the Stanley Fund is really quite exciting, and it's really a culmination of events that pretty much happened a year ago. Kevin and I met. I was 1 week in post as Chief Executive at the County Durham Community Foundation, and we basically came up with some crazy ideas, I think you said at the time, yes? And it's come real. So what we hope to have, this will be launching in April, is a fund that is dedicated to Stanley Parish Council, community groups and charities. It will be at least, looking at the way the numbers are going, £120,000 that is available for those groups in the Stanley area. That funding has come together through, as Councillor Marshall has said, the support of the Town Council. It's also come through your Action Area Partnership, the Police Victim Crime Commissioner, PCVC, I never get that acronym right, I'm sorry. It's also come from money that we, as the Community Foundation, are willing to put in ourselves because we believe so much in community groups. It's what we do day in and day out. And for those of you that don't know the Community Foundation, I think a lot of you will. There's a lot of familiar names on a bit of paper. But just for those of you that don't, we are a grant-making foundation. We only make grants in the North East area, predominantly in County Durham and Darlington, and the last financial year we awarded, actually this financial year just coming to an end, I'll stick with those numbers, it will be just over 3 million in grants to local community groups like yourselves. But interestingly, of that 3 million, I checked the numbers today, only 42,000 has gone to groups in Stanley. And actually, it's probably nearer 38,000 has gone to groups in Stanley. And we also offer relief in need funding, which has gone to individuals, and that was about £4,000. So I hope you can see that by the launch of this fund, if we can get £125,000 into that, which we have for this year, and we can see visibility on that for the next 2 years as well, thanks to the support of the Council, you will have at least triple the amount of funding available to you to apply to the Community Foundation for. It does not stop any of the groups in this room still applying to us for all those other funds that you have come to us for in the past. So Winter Warmth, I think Packed House is here. I can see Shade here, who recently presented to me for a Growth and Resilience Fund. That will run again next year. The NHS funds, you all apply to those funds and you can continue to do that. So that £40,000 that's come into this region will continue to come into the region. But the beauty for groups in this region is that you effectively have access to your own dedicated pot as well. Do you know what? The phone's gone dead. I've just made all of this up as it's gone along. So let's see where we got to, shall we? So it is for charities, it is for community groups. Fundamentally, we want it to be a community fund. So it will have a community panel. And part of today's talk really is, if you like, to invite people to apply to be on that community panel. We truly believe that this money has to be owned by the people of Stanley, for the people of Stanley, and it's not for us sitting over in just outside the city centre to decide where that money goes. So we would love for representatives who may be residents, who may be on community groups, who may own businesses, because businesses are ultimately where we're also going to go and talk to contribute to this fund. We would like them to put themselves forward to be part of the community panel that helps decide where the funding goes for this fund. There will be representatives on that panel from the funders, and I hope you'd agree that that is only fair. They're putting the money up and therefore they have a say, but fundamentally the balance of the panel will be very much community-led. And I would say if any of the groups are worried that there is a conflict of interest and that you can't sit on the panel because you want to bid for that funding, that is fine. There will be processes in place that allow you to declare conflicts of interest, to step back if you ever want to apply for the funding. So don't be afraid to put yourself up as a panel member, even if you are a key part of a community group, okay? The fund will effectively be quite innovative, I hope. It's always hard to, it's easy to say that, it's hard to make that happen, and we need your help to make that happen. I would say that most of the stakeholders have been fantastic in helping us make this happen. We want to look at multi-year funding. So this isn't just about funding a successful project once and then saying, bad luck, you've proved it works, there's no more funding for that. So if there is a successful project, we will look at funding that as part of the scheme. Core costs, capital costs can also be considered. Grants will range from £2,000 up to £10,000. And if you think about that multi-year model, there will be breaks, so there'll be a review every year, and if you're not delivering, we will fundamentally pull the funding. But effectively, if you are a group and if you can come up with a good strategic plan, you will have visibility on core funding for a number of years. That is the concept that we want to try and bring into this. The funds will, the purpose of the funds, the charitable purpose of the funds, will align with a lot of the town council's strategic aims, but always with a social impact element. So if you've got regeneration, it's about social value regeneration. It's about how do you get people into work? How do those groups that do amazing things with people, encouraging them to learn, to read, to get into work, the fund can help you do that, because that's social regeneration. It will look at environment, but it isn't about funding all community parks, it's about coming up with creative ideas around those community parks and how you engage your community to help deliver that. Fundamentally, the fund will help young people, it will help old people, it will help the groups of Stanley to decide where that funding needs to go fundamentally. And that's the whole point of bringing it back to the community panel. The people of Stanley are going to decide where this fund goes. We will put a chair in place to help keep it all effective. Frankly, to remove any personal agendas, but this is about Stanley owning and delivering on this fund. Our role will be to help manage that process, to promote the fund, to help groups on the ground to actually apply for the fund. So I'm going to commit some of my staff's resource to trying to work with groups in this region. There is an application form. I have this horrible feeling that David said there wouldn't be an application form. There is an application form, but anyone who applies to us through the website link, hopefully you're all reassured that it is quite simple and it is quite effective in terms of its process. So that will stay the same. So for those of you that don't know the website, it's www, lots of head go down and scribbling, cdcf.org.uk. We'll push and we'll promote the fund. I'm sure the Stanley Town Council social media will do the same, so I wouldn't worry too much about the detail. But definitely cdcf.org.uk, that's where the application form will be launched in April, the new financial year this fund is for. There will be panels throughout the year, so this isn't about getting in once and thinking you've missed it for the year, okay? So there will be opportunities on a regular basis. We anticipate the first panel will sit back June time. So start thinking, have a look at those terms of reference when that fund goes up there on the website. See how you can think it can work for you. Have a think about some strategic ideas for grant making. I think some people have worked with me in the past, in a previous life, around something called Fresh Ideas, and the growth and resilience is the next iteration of that. What I hope is we can kind of, in a way, bring some of that energy that Fresh Ideas had, that the growth and resilience has, and that is about unlocking the potential of the charitable groups to do what they know is best for the region. And hopefully we can make it real, and I think it's amazing that with the support of people like the council and Kevin Jones, who does have a fund with us, and will probably talk to you a little bit about what he thinks about the fund. I think it's amazing that we've been able to pull this together. What I'm told is pretty quick time, of under 12 months, is that right? It feels like it's been a long journey, but it's pretty exciting that we're now just literally a few weeks away in making it real, and hopefully you guys will help us make that real. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michelle, for that. Can I to give you one thing to say thank you to everyone in this room, because there's one great thing about Stanley is it has its problems, but there's fantastic people who do things and who don't sit back at the moment, get on and do things in the community. And you know, there are many communities I think that would die for that type of effort and resilience. You do it not because you get any financial gain out of it or any personal kudos, you do it because you care about the community. So that I think is something that I certainly think is valuable, and that's why I think this type of fund would and I think will thrive in Stanley. Now, Michelle did it. I do come up with daft ideas sometimes, and this was one where Michelle and I met over a year ago. County Durham Foundation manages a number of funds. It's unique, I think, in terms that a lot of them are quite small. Now, those funds then are basically people either give money, they invest it, and then distribute it to communities throughout County Durham. Now that's easy if you're, for example, in the southeast of London, where there's large donors, companies and others that will give, or individuals in some cases, which will give money. A lot of the funds that the Community Foundation manages are for personal legacies or individual donations, like the funds that I've got, or individual companies that actually want to ensure that they want to give something back to the community. Most of them are, and there are people in this room and groups that have actually had money from the foundation, know that some of those funds are earmarked for education, young people, or certain activities. But I don't think we've got a community fund which is for a town, which I think this is going to be unique. And can I thank the Town Council, Carol and David, for their support for this initiative, because in year one, clearly, that money is going to be very important in terms of you having a say. The other important thing about this, it's got to be community-led. It's got to be led by the community and people that are actually involved, not only in the groups, but to see what the priorities are for Stanley. And, you know, and there's a lot of negative and cynicism at the moment, and it's easy to be negative about things. I think if this takes off, could be quite exciting. It's actually about making sure that local people set the priorities. They also allow to raise funds for it, because another side to this will be the money that's been earmarked, obviously given out in grants. But the way the foundation works is that if we can get money donated to the fund, it will go into what's called an endowment fund, which will then generate money for future years. So we've got to target businesses, we've got to target individuals and others who want to give to the community fund. So that legacy goes on year after year after year. And with the Community Foundation doing all the administration of it, it takes it out of the hands of the Town Council, because someone said, well, why couldn't the Town Council run this? Well, they could, but it's setting up the bureaucracy. If you've got already an organisation, well-established track record with expertise in this area, then I think that's why the beauty of the foundation is there. So my clear message is, support this, get involved, certainly apply for the grants, but if you know of individuals who want to contribute to the fund, companies or individuals, then please come forward. It's your fund, and the difference it will make, you're making every day anyway with the work that you're doing. With the long-term financial backing that this will give organisations, I think it will ensure that the work that you do is sustainable. And also there may be new groups that we want to set up, and new initiatives that need to be set up in Stanley, which aren't there yet. This is an ability to be able to do that. So please get involved and make sure that it's a success. This is year one. There'll be problems, there always is with setting up new initiatives like this, but remember the one key thing, which I know you all do, is this is about supporting your local community, supporting people in that community, but also making your community a better place to live.
And I will be brief because Councillor Marshall covered pretty much everything I was going to talk about, so I won't keep you too long. Just to piggyback the Stanley Community Fund, which I think clearly that's the reason most of you came in tonight to find out details about that. You know, the Town Council's made an investment of £50,000 into that fund, which, as Michelle has told you, through contributions from other people, the local AAP, the MP, the Police and Crime Commissioner, other businesses, has already more than doubled in the first year. So that's a clear. There's clearly more money going into the community than there would be if we just kept that money ourselves. But we've also kept back a smaller fund, which we've called the Strategic Grant Fund, of £35,000, which will, you know, as Michelle said, the lower limit on this fund is £2,000. Clearly, there's still that little gap for small grants where you've got a community group that might only need a couple of £100 a year, or just to keep a specific little craft group or whatever going. That's what the strategic fund is going to be for. The application process will be very simple. For any local group that's ever filled in a MIF form, it's going to be a very similar type of form. There will be regular call-outs for that, and I think there'll be a panel which meets 3 times a year, so three little call-outs for that. We've put a load of forms, application forms, on the front desk so that people can pick one up on their way out if they wish. There won't be enough for everyone that's in this room. So if you would like a form and they're all gone by the time you get there, just speak to myself or Nicola or Alan at the back, and we'll take the details and make sure we get a form sent out to you. It's no problem. So I'll just quickly blast through this. This is just a brief overview of things that we're planning for the coming financial year. Obviously, we've spoken about the Community Fund and now the Strategic Grants Fund. We are clearly going to continue to provide the events, Play in the Park, which we provide, fireworks, which we provide, the work we do with memorials, both the War Memorials and the Miners Memorials, of which we support 2 now, because we have taken ownership of the Louisa Morrison Memorial, as well as running the commemoration for West Stanley. That's just other remembrance events. It's the Heaviside plaque there and for Play Memorial. We obviously also continue to fund on an ongoing basis the money advice, citizens advice services, the detached youth service, which we've given multi-year funding packages so they've got sustainability and they can plan their services in advance. Obviously, we continue to support Packed House and Just Women's Centre on the bottom of the slide. We do that, support them as well. All the stuff that we're doing is based on the medium-term plan, which had themes of championing regeneration, and that's, as Michelle said, social as well as physical. The environment, young people, providing events for people, supporting community facilities, providing good value for money, treating our staff fairly, communicating well with residents, and promoting and supporting the town's heritage. Hopefully, you can see that everything that's been talked about tonight is supporting at least one of those things. So that's the end of the presentation. You'll be pleased to hear. The next part of the meeting is the open forum. Now, the way this works is that anyone in the room can ask any questions they want about anything to do with Stanley. This isn't a Stanley Town Council meeting. This is a Stanley meeting. This is your meeting. So we've got a wide range of people here. We've got county councillors, town councillors. We have a local MP. A police inspector had to pop out, but he'll be back in a minute, so if there's any police issues, we'll take things till the end. So it'll just open it up really to the public. If you, the Deputy Town Mayor will chair the meeting, so if you have a question to ask, please pop your hand up, and if the Deputy Mayor asks you to speak, then just please just say who you are and whereabouts you're from, and we'll crack on. Carol?
Going on reading the minutes of last year, there was a thing about the allotments that we do in the town council taking them over. That's not the question. The one I'm asking is, has the town council ever thought about taking control of its markets back from Durham County Council? Because that's a massive income generation. The rents are going up year on year, and I'm just wondering, has the council ever thought about that, taking it back in-house?
Kevin, I have actually inquired about when the contract is up for renewal for the town market, and it's actually in 2021, and before that happens, the council will consider whether or not they wish to involve themselves in bidding for that or not. But clearly, it's not happening until the end of the current contract period, so it'll be something that gets discussed by the council in the future.
Has anyone else got a question to the night house?
I'll try and, I mean, the town council supports a number of local groups. We don't ourselves deliver anything for kids with special education needs. We do support groups like the Justin Women Centre, Act House, the Stars Youth Service, and they will work with all kinds of people, with all different kinds of needs. I think we've got some of those people in the room. I don't know if any of those people would like to add anything about what they do with people who've got special needs. No?
I'm looking at Dan, he's keeping his head down at the back. I wondered whether the activity directory would have some more information down about that, because there is little, I know there's toddler groups and there's creche groups and that are available for people kids with SEN, but it's in different little community centres, so I don't know all of them off the top of my head.
Right, okay.
Also, Alan, I don't know that Durham County Council, through the Durham Works Programme, have a commissioning framework, and one of their agenda items is send young people. It's about identifying where the need is and then open up the discussions, and maybe that's something that we can look at further down the line through the Durham Works, but we have to get in touch for more information through Helen.
You've got a lot of events, different events, I've got a lot of new kids, with the needs, that's why I can join them down events, and it's not just like services provided, but it's like, events, specialised events for them. There's still a part of community, still a part of standing, so then following an event, what is it?
Just to say that this is something that we've been looking at through the EAP group, and we are looking to see and try and identify in standard or groups that we can support both young children and older children, and we found it quite difficult to have this, so it's something that we are trying to sort of identify and do something, but in a lot of cases we are strong. And this area, so it's a gap, isn't it? It's a gap to be considered.
If you want to leave the details at the end, find out and then we can help contact you.
Oh, project building, it's Stanley Fund.
Yes.
I think that could be a great example of an initiative if you're trying to pull, trying to find some groups who can offer that service, then that is that kind of collaborative group of colleagues.
Obviously, I've got so much special education needs, which is why I thought like the PDA at school, obviously, generally it comes to them, because obviously they like to put the story, but there's not a lot in Stanley or the Durham area itself. Travel, Newcastle,
Certainly willing to listen to people if you've got any ideas.
oh,
and
no,
things. Has anyone else got a question?
Ron Hanson, it's a question on the facilities and provision for the young people. Stanley was instrumental in creating and continue for some time town council support for the mini police. Now this is now not only national but it's becoming international, and yet Stanley, where it was actually formed in the first instance, closed it down. Is there any possibility that we started again? Especially due to the fact that small children in infant school and primary school are actually carrying knives to school. This is something which might help to alleviate this.
schools have to take the initiative as well, and I think they're struggling with some of the demands. Does that sound familiar?
No, sorry, in Stanley, the police are involved, yes, the schools
Yeah.
are involved, but the funding came from the town council. That I understand it was stopped.
I think that's the case across a lot of schools, and it's the schools themselves are trying to find ways of actually continuing that initiative because they recognise the value in it. I'm just putting another model out there that some other schools across County Durham have kind of funded it themselves and driven some of the initiative.
I think I'll just come back. I think what Ron's alluded to is that in about 15, 16, or I might have a year wrong, we did support a number of schools to put them in place where buying uniforms, etc. And we had a launch event, so it called. And we had made a budget provision in a following year to try and bring more schools into the scheme locally. The factor that prevented us from doing that was a couple of factors, but the first one is that bringing the mini police is something that has to be supported by the actual police. We provide support to find the uniform and stuff for the kids. But in terms of the activity, that needs to be supported by the constabulary themselves. And obviously there's a limited capacity to do that because, as you know, we've got 2 community policing teams in Stanley, and they were supporting those original schools that we brought on. Then they didn't have the capacity necessarily to go and do that to the others. I think it was exacerbated, as you know, by Craig Johnson, who was the police officer who was behind the scheme in the first place. I think he retired, and I think maybe he just got lost a little bit. We were definitely asking Craig, and James will remember this, that year for him to bring forward proposals and schemes, and we were asked to fund a minibus, which the council didn't want to do. We asked for a local scheme to be put forward, it never came forward. So it was one of those things where I think there was a little bit of impetus lost with the mini police, and it was not something that the council made a conscious effort to not fund in the future.
Is it not something that perhaps between the police and the council can look at again, especially bearing in mind the current life crime, and also the fact that the mini police started in Stanley, and as I said before, it's now running national, but becoming international.
I think Inspector Stewart's already said they'll take it away and come back to us.
So new development, a couple of people asked it, so I mean, it's now going on the Durham County Council responsibility, or the County Council may have an answer to it, and it's with regards to the new McDonald's centre that's opening, built on the very same sort of style as what the concert was. The concert had a lot of problems because it was 24 hours. You eventually have to get security guards in there, so where it's getting built now, it's a main footfall onto the front street for a lot of elderly people, and I'm just wondering, has there been a risk assessment done on the people that might be there and how to go to manage it? For instance, there used to be CCTV cameras, which I believe are not in operation now. I'm just wondering, has there negotiations and talks with whoever's taking the franchise being forward? We've got a plan for safety more than anything.
Well, you're right, the town council hasn't been involved with those discussions. Obviously, the local planning authority is the Durham Council. I don't know if there's any specific councils that have specific knowledge of this, but if not, we'll have to take the question away and ask the plans to come back with a response. I'm certain they will have a plan to mitigate it, because the only person that's that suggested this might be an issue. So I'm sure there will be one.
It's been raised to many forward rep of the AAP.
Yeah, my name is Steve Richard. Just regarding the bank levels and all that. Certainly you mentioned in the last 2 meetings around about these problems with the football, elderly people going through the passageway, the underpass. So I think it needs to be addressed somewhere along the line, particularly if that's going to be included. It's going to impact the football along this year, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, the answer is we don't know what's going to happen. But obviously what you're highlighting is something which is foreseeable, and I'm sure that the planning department and the county council will also have the same thing. So we will, we have contacts there, we will ask the question, we will get the answer.
Thank you, Ron.
Yes, the lady.
Can I ask, I don't know much about this, I didn't even know it was
and McDonald's country Stanley. But whereabouts is it going to be? Is it going to be a bus station? Because my concern is, since the problems that you had earlier with the children near the bus station, I'm here on behalf of the Durham Light Infantry organisation that was widely on here tonight. And we've had problems that even some of the ex-servicemen cannot come to our meetings now because they are worried about going home at night and not being able to travel through Stanley safely to get home on the night time. I have had offers from councillors to come to our meetings and take the soldiers home, but it's a concern to other organisations that this is the only thing in the Stanley area that's there for ex-servicemen, because it's not just the Durham Light Infantry, it's open to any ex-servicemen. And if they work in this country and now can't come to meetings that's there for them because of the worry about security going on, it sounds a bit dangerous to me if it's going to get worse.
If I give some real answer to that, since I've come in September last year to this role on the neighbourhood PCT, we obviously had a spike in antisocial behaviour with youths in the end of October, start of November period, which I think was well publicised and everyone was aware of that. Are you ever going to get, and this wasn't the problem that originated and was the first time it ever happened in the issue of youth antisocial behaviour will always be there to some degree in every area that we do. So what we've done is the police service, and working with the other agencies and the council and the board, is looked at what the issues were then, to prepare ourselves for when we might have a similar sort of spike again in the future, because these things are fairly sort of seasonal and cyclical in that these things tend to spike when the school holidays come around. So we've got Easter coming up, for example, we've got bonfire night, we've got the break of Christmas for the summer, that sort of thing. So what we tried, what we did, I'm sorry if this goes on a little bit too long, I've said this before, but there was one particular incident at the back end, sort of November, the early November time, which then probably encouraged some of the youth to come back and have a little bit more of the fun and the excitement that was sort of associated with that. So what we've done is we've identified the sort of the main people, the main youths who were involved in the disorder on the particular night. Where there's been a level of criminality, they've all been dealt with through the youth offending services. Where there was levels that were just below criminality, so antisocial behaviour but not criminal offences being committed, we invited those youths in with their parents, because what happens is when those youths go home, they have a different narrative on what happened on the night. The police were spraying everyone with gas, the police were doing this, the police were doing that, and that's what the parents get to hear. So we invited all the parents in, and of course we've got body cam footage of the officers who were present at the time. We sat them all down and said, right, let's have a look at this. And every one of those interactions was very positive, in that the people went away saying, right, now we have an understanding of what's happened there. Working with the council and the wardens, at the time, there was, I think there was something like one youth in Stanley on the escalation process for antisocial behaviour. By an escalation process, what I mean, you can imagine it's like a first incidence of that, somebody might get a letter. The second incidence of that, there would be a joint visit done by the wardens and the police, or from a common homes, for example, might go down there. And the escalation process goes up to where we never ever want to get to, but where some more punitive actions taken against probably the parents. So now we have somewhere in the region of, I think, nearly 20 of these on the escalation process. So we know who they are, how many times they've done something, what we need to do the next time if they continue that behaviour. So we have a process to do that, and most people are on that. As well as that, there's still, I mean, as we sat here now, there'll be some PCSOs will be at the Activate. That happens on a Friday night, the Louisa Centre, and then we'll go down to there. So this is all about being punitive. It's a balance of, we needed to deal with what we dealt with on that particular evening. Then we need to keep getting bodies on the ground for the subsequent weekends, because there's always a little ripple effect of, well, that was exciting, let's go and see what that's about next week. But at the same time, it's that balance of trying to support all the initiatives that are there for the youth as well. So what I'm saying is, you'll never eradicate it entirely. What I've tried to do is position ourselves so that when this starts to happen, we can address it quickly and hopefully effectively. So like I say, I'm not here to say that problem's gone away, it hasn't. It'll come back again, but we're going to be in a position to deal with it. That's a sort of bit of a summary, I suppose, of where I think we're at with that in terms of the PTA.
So your meetings are on a Tuesday night, so it's not a weekend, but generally yet the service when you go around, you're still travelling home on the night time after 9 o'clock.
We have to try and not we necessarily as an police, but there's always perceptions are sometimes worse than the reality. You know what I mean? So that there was people who were very frightened about going to particular shops in the Stanley area on a weekend night, sort of tea time, and possibly rightly so. But the truth is that some of the youths, when they're in their groups, and there's people who work with the police here who know far better than me, but they sometimes don't understand how threatening they can appear simply by being together. You know, they'll not think of themselves as being rowdy, but to some people they will perceive it as that.
Are these youths at the age where the flex free, or is
No. Quite probably, I would say that really what we had back in the last year, the age range was, in fact, there's a trigger, if you like. Imagine when children go from primary school to secondary school. That's a big leap for them. You know, psychologically and behaviourally, it's a big step for them. And what you find is that some of them decide, oh, well, hang on a minute, I can be the alpha male or the alpha female here. It's a different sort of set of people who follow what I do, and I have quite a bit of influence over people. You know what I mean? So what you find is, you can tend to find, I mentioned seasonal things, like bonfire night, like Easter, like school holidays, but there's also cyclical things like younger kids going from primary school to secondary school, having that new experience, if you like, and then reacting that way, and sometimes behaving that way, testing the boundaries, if you like. And there's more initiatives where we've got people who've identified how that social psychology thing works, where you've got, here's the people who lead it, here's the people who follow it, who are greater in number. And it's actually an initiative that's been talked about. There was a lady who actually watched some of the footage from the evening. And quite, I mean, it was fascinating to hear, because that lady said she didn't know who'd been spoken to in terms of criminal offences, she didn't know who'd been spoken to in terms of criminal. There was a video played out, she was able to say, well, those three are going to be your problem there. Those two there followed on, and she was exactly right with what she said, because you could just tell by the way their faces sort of became neutral and were writing their own narrative about what the police are doing wrong to my friend here, even though in truth what the police are doing trying to get their friend with face to shape because of Russian and options that these people now start thinking, right, I need to look after the friend here. So we're trying to approach it from all sorts of sides and understand it better, therefore.
So, in summary, before we start on this thing, yes, there was an issue last year. Police and the other departments acknowledged it and have worked together to develop some tactics to deal with it in the future. I think that's a fair assessment of what we should say. So, move on. So then later, over there, and just drop it off.
Right. I've been working with children and young people for 30 years as a volunteer. Not all children are bad. In fact, there's a very small minority, but people seem to pick on, like, because there's a minority that come to the top and everybody hears about it. Can we stress that it isn't all children and young people? And if anybody's got any data, I would like to know, like, go from 30 and upwards, the percentage of young people who are a nuisance compared to those that are just ordinary, go to school, go to play football, go to the local school. Because I'm getting sick of hearing about how bad young people are.
I don't think anyone disagrees with you. To be honest, I think everyone knows disagrees with the minority of people.
David Hartnett, Stanley Sports Club.
run by the community. We understand that the panel will be based with councillors and members of the public. Have you got a panel yet? Because you're talking about starting this next week.
So the fund will launch for applications in April, and the panel will be recruited, ready to review the first lot of applications. So there is no predetermined panel, and they all to get thinking about it and potentially get involved.
Can I just add to that? Councillors won't have a majority on that panel. We're proposing that 3 councillors, and that's it, will be in a minority. It's your fund, so we're looking for you to come forward and sit on that panel, and you'll all be given equal say in what happens. So it won't be dictated by the council. We need people in on panel. Honourable David, make an application, I'm sure about it. Can I ask if there's any other questions about the town council?
I've just got some queries. It's that the council said that Stanley might be taken over as in charge of the allotments. I was wondering why Stanley or Durham Council is taking the list away from us. But we can't get on to the site that they say is where the waiting lists are. And we can't get on it because it's not set up properly. There was supposed to be some meetings for us to go and see how to go on this for the waiting list thing. And there hasn't been anything. And every allotment or committee that I've been talking to are really fed up because you ask the council anything for anything, like we just tell you to get on with it. I have actually got from to send me my list out of waiting list. Well, I sent them 2 names out and they sent me the 2 names back. Then I had to send my name about 10 that I had in, and I sent them back to me, like saying that it's not our waiting list. So where's the waiting list that I gave you last year? And I've sent loads of stuff down there that I've had to send back again, that they've asked for, and I've had to get it. Well, put it either myself or register and post it there. So I know that they've got it, because it's the
I was just going to suggest, I'm Carl Marshall, I'm one of the county councillors. If anybody has any county council issues, I think there's some tea and coffee just about ready next door. I'll be next door with Lane and some of the other county council people want to catch us. And I pick up on the specific issue of the allotments, but just to say the town council at this point is saying we're not taking on the allotments. We already pay our tax to Durham County Council. We don't want double taxation. We don't see why people in Stanley should pay for them twice, and that's the position we're in at the minute. With the county council. We'll have a chat about the individual issues you've got, so I'll be keen to try and help you with some of those. I'll be next door over a coffee.
Has anyone got any more questions before we bring it to a close?
Yes. No, I'm myself more. I just wondering how would you get onto the panels and stuff?
Well, do you want to hear the question? It's how you get to the panel. How to understand the panel. There will be, as Michelle said, the fund will go live in April for application. So at that time, between now and April, which is like, a week and a half, we will put onto the County Community Fund's website, the Stanley Town Council website, and all our social media channels, details of how you can make an application. We will also be putting out a call out, asking people to put their name and put themselves forward to be included in that in the panel. And the process will be an open recruitment process which will be coordinated with the fund, the County Community Foundation and ourselves. And it will be an absolutely open selection process. So hopefully we will have such a wide range of people who want to be involved in the panel that we'll be able to actually have a selection process. That will be totally open. We'll announce it through our website and our Facebook and our social media. So really if you use social media, the Stanley Town Council puts things on Facebook, we have a fixed website, the Stanley Town Council website, we will put announcements out on all of those. So please, at the end of the month, beginning of April, please keep checking with our websites and you'll see how to apply for funding through the fund and how to apply to be involved with the panel.
Yes, sir.
John Milner, Catholic, North Fair Action Partnership. Where will these panel meetings be held?
In Stanley.
Probably in the Civic Hall, because we won't have to pay for it.
Daniel, did you have your hand?
Yeah, who's going to have the final decision on the panel?
The majority of the panel. So the panel will be an independent chair, probably someone from the foundation will chair the meeting, and there will be 12 panel members, of which 3 will be councillors. There may be some of the other funders will be represented on the panel, but the balance will be recruited through an open recruitment process in the community.
So there's only one person to make a meeting. I don't think so. We know what I'm going to do after the panel. There's house being built right outside my house.
Where do you live? Do you live at East Stanley? Greenwood.
Yeah, the thing at the old community centre there.
Right.
And the building right behind it, hospitals and the process.
That sounds like it's the developers putting some pre-consultation material through the door. Obviously, the planning application would be dealt with by Durham County Council, their planning authority. Obviously, the town council will be aware when an application was made. I don't have specific details about that. Yeah.
I'll take one more.
If it happens, so we meet 3 times a year for this small fund, does that mean that when we put an application in for a grant or something, we have to wait until the panel meets before we know whether they can get it or not, so that means we'll only be accessing the fund 3 times a year?
Yeah, there will
We'll
be.
be able to put a grant in and get to know the next month whether you get it or not, you have to wait and then what?
Depends when you put your application. Obviously, we will clearly publish the dates of the call-outs and the dates of decision-making panel. So you'll know on the 1st of April when the first tranche is, when the second tranche is, when the third tranche is. So you won't be able to put an application on Friday and pay Monday. You have to plan it a little bit, but there will be that amount of money available. And we'll try and do it so that we overlap with the main fund, so that actually there's option that there is funding being awarded on the kind of
Right, I'll take questions. Just to thank everybody once again. It's lovely to see so many people come along tonight. And the will be people like Mr. Simpson, councillors on hand. So if you want to have a word, by all means, can you want to can the